Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines on WNJC.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage. Over.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you, flying solo tonight. Got a great show for you. If you are an anti-Hillary fan, boy, do we have a show for you. We have the executive director of the Stop Hillary PAC, Colorado State Senator Harvey. He was term limited out and decided he needed to do some more service for our country. And what better way to do that than to try to stop Hillary from becoming the next president of the United States? And, of course, we have the return of Andre Walker and his weekly monologue, and we're going to be dissecting a few things here and there as the show goes on. Dare I say, you might even hear me, for the first time ever in the history of this here show, actually agree with MSNBC. I know it's shocking. We're going to get to it right now. Folks, you think we got trouble on the Republican side when we talk about our potential nominees. You think that we have a showdown coming up, between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, John Kasich you throw in there as well, I guess. And you know what? It may well be coming down the pipe that we may be looking at a convention battle. Who knows at this point? I mean, it's pretty much anybody's guess what's going to be happening here. I really don't think we're going to be having a nominee at this point with a clear majority of 1,237 delegates. Put me down on record right now, folks. I think we're going to a contested convention. And if you want to go on record yourself, go to goonrecord.com. That's what we do here on the show. Whenever we put something down on record, we want to make sure it's crystal clear and transparent to everybody. We go to goonrecord.com, brand new social media site out there. Put down what you think, what you believe in, what you stand for, and it's up there, can't be changed later on, and you subject yourself to either the laurels or the scrutiny of the general public. So goonrecord.com, check it out. I'm on record right now, and I'm going to go to goonrecord.com and say, you know what? Contested convention coming our way. But that's a discussion for another day. We've been talking about Ted Cruz and Donald Trump and, different primaries. Of course, the controversy now about different state rules for delegate choosing and what happens after what round of voting and all that. Yeah, we know what we got to deal with on our side. But if I was a Democrat right now, watching this election unfold, and I see what's been going on in the news right now, I gotta tell you folks, I'm irate. I am flat out flabbergasted. I am angry beyond any anger I could see coming from the Republicans, because while you may think that certain rules in certain states on the Republican side of the primary system are arcane, bad, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to say it is nothing compared to what we're seeing from the out-and-out vote theft. I'm saying it. Vote theft that we are seeing from the Democratic side and Democratic primary. How can a person win 8 primaries out of the last 9 contests, whether they're winner-take-all, proportional, caucusing, whatever it is? How could that person win 8 of 9 states and lose the delegate count in states. I don't understand how that works. You want to talk about voter disenfranchisement? You want to talk about voter frustration? It's all on the Democrat side right now, folks. Yes, I can understand people being upset with a system where a state committee has a state convention and selects state delegates for a party system. I can understand the frustration there. You're not letting voters vote. But how about letting voters vote and then discarding the votes and basically creating a system where it doesn't really matter? And by the way, folks, it's not me saying it. It's the folks on MSDNC. The folks on MSNBS. I keep doing that. It's the folks on MSNBC saying it. Let me tell you, it's gotta be bad when the folks over at the Democrat Apology Network, MSNBC, my voice is cracking thinking about it, are going on TV and openly bashing, not only bashing, wrecking the DNC system. You don't believe me? Take a listen to this exchange from Morning Joe, and you tell me what you think later on in the chat room.
Bernie Sanders' winning streak continued over the weekend with a victory in the Wyoming caucuses on Saturday. Sanders beat Hillary Clinton by 12 points, 56-44, notching his 8th win in the last 9 nominating contests.
Okay, what do we do here?
It sounds like Nicole, he's winning.
He's won 8 out of 9.
Yep. But he's losing.
And look, he wins by 12 points. I tell you, I would not do well as a Democratic politician. He wins by 12 points. He may not even pick up a single delegate.
Yeah.
It's 7-6 now with a remaining delegate to be decided later. I'm sorry. That's a crushing victory.
I know. And listen, I think that with the super delegates that they have, I think she only has to win 30% of she only has to get 30% of the vote in the remaining contest. Talk about voters feeling like a system might be rigged.
Why are you even voting?
If you're driving a car right now, we've been talking about rigged systems. We're putting up right now a graphic. Bernie Sanders wins 56-44% in Wyoming. The delegates rewarded: Hillary Clinton 11, Bernie Sanders 7. Why does the Democratic Party even have voting booths?
No, why?
This system is so rigged.
They have voting booths because the dead people got to go somewhere when they go vote, right? Yes, that's Joe Scarborough saying the system is rigged. Let's just encapsulate this for a second. They're using Wyoming as the example. That's the most recent primary. The 8th in the last 9 that Bernie Sanders has won in the Democratic primary system, but it doesn't matter. Bernie Sanders has been winning races west of the Mississippi, as we've all seen. And he's winning big. As they said, 12%. A big win by any measure over Hillary Clinton. And yet, not only does he not get the majority of the delegates that you can win proportionally, he gets blown out in the delegate count, 11-6. At this point, what does it matter, Democrats, if you even bother to show up to vote in your primary? Say this for the Republican Party. The system is set up as fairly as you can think a political system be set up. You vote, you proportion the delegates pursuant to however your state does it. And then you have a winner and a loser. And normally, and I say this with a little grain of salt, normally the guy who gets the most votes gets the most delegates. And of course, we'll see what happens at the convention as to where those delegates have to be pledged to, what round, and all that other stuff. But at least you earn delegates for that first round of voting. And they're yours. Because you earned them. But no. That's not what happens with the DNC. See, the DNC has something called superdelegates. These are people who are unpledged and are not bound to do anything that any voter says. They're your Congress people, your senators, your higher-ups in the parties, your political 1%, if you will. That's the type of person that is more inclined to vote for Hillary Clinton. And the facts bear us out. She has pledged to her, unofficially, over 450 superdelegates. And then you add into the system the way that the voting happens. And you have a proportional system where Hillary Clinton is killing him being Bernie Sanders, in the delegate count. I'm shocked by this system. I think, the Democrats are supposed to be the land of one person, one vote, even if they're not a citizen. One person, one vote, even if they don't have ID. One person, one vote, even if they're not living. And yet, in their primary system, it's one person votes, but to hell with your vote, we're going to pick the delegates anyway. And I'm even more shocked that the folks on Morning Joe, Joe Scarborough and Mika Sherda, whatever her name is, I can't even pronounce it, are legitimately upset by this scheme. And make no mistake, folks, this is a voter rigging scheme. Let's continue to listen. I can't believe I'm saying this, but let's continue to listen to what happened on Morning Joe.
It feels that way, and I think if they fall into line better than our voters do, but I can see some of the same emotions boiling over at their convention.
But we always talk about voter turnout and how important it is to do your duty as a citizen. There's absolutely no reason any of those people voted in any of those states, right?
What's the justification?
Please, someone tell me.
These are the rules.
No, that's not a good answer. Tell me why those people needed to go vote, because their votes don't matter.
It turned out it's not rigged.
Do their votes matter, Mark Halpern?
Yeah, they do. The votes matter.
Do they count in some way?
Depends on where you turn out.
How?
I don't think it's a
only
good system.
In some parts of the country it matters?
I don't think it's a good system, but it's not like...
He won by 12 percentage points and lost the delegate
I don't think
count.
it's a good system. All I'm saying is it's not like the Clinton...
Do you think it's changes, Matthew? Do you think that the Democrats
matter.
and Republicans change their delegate allotment processes after this cycle?
Only if the winner of the White House decides he or she wants to change it, which is unlikely. These are the rules.
I don't really...
All I'm saying is it's not like the Cruz
asking.
people or the Clinton people have gone in and fixed it or rigged it.
Those are the rules, and since those are the rules, and rules are rules, and we gotta follow the rules, then the rules matter. And let me give full disclosure here, folks. I've used this kind of argument when talking to people about Ted Cruz and the system in Colorado, whereby the state committee and the state convention picks the delegates from that state, and they vote accordingly. Saying that them's the rules in that situation is a lot different than saying, well, everybody can go vote, and then, the delegates will fall as they may, pursuant to the party rules and not pursuant to how the vote turned out. That's a totally different thing. But those are the rules. Mark Halpern going on TV with a straight face, basically saying, tough you know what, Bernie Sanders. These are the rules that you got into with, and these are the rules we got to stick with, and so sorry, even though you're winning race after race after race after race, 8 of the last 9 as we come into the People's Republic of New York. But too bad, man, them's the breaks and you can't win. And I just can't help to think, whatever happened to the concept of a vote mattering? Our right to vote, one of the most fundamental rights that we have, is the great equalizer, or at least it should be the great equalizer in our society. I have the power to nullify the vote of Donald Trump in the People's Republic of New York. He can vote one way, I can vote the other way. Doesn't matter where I came from, doesn't matter where he came from. But since I'm registered to vote just like he is, we're equal. When we walk into that polling booth and we mark our choice, whether it's through the machine, through, filling in an oval, pulling a lever, punching out a Chad, whatever it is. The point being is, our vote is supposed to matter. Even if it's a party election, let's make a clear distinction between general elections for public office and party elections for nominees and party positions. When you are dealing with such races, you have to realize that yes, no matter what system you're going into, it's rigged. It's just like Vegas and Atlantic City, folks. The house always wins. Because they're the ones that have set the rules. If you want to play in the house, if you want to play in the RNC house, Mr. Trump, you have to know the rules and be able to navigate them. Otherwise, those who do know the rules that you don't know will crush you. And to some extent, that's part of a litmus test of being a presidential nominee. Know the rules, know what you're getting into, and the candidacy you save may be your own. That, to some extent, I think people can understand. And the reason why they can understand it is because you don't want someone who is not part of your political ideology to come in and take your nomination. I get that. However, when you start saying to people, come out and vote and let us know who your choice is, and then that vote turns out a certain way, but then there are those who are not bound by your vote saying, I don't care what you said, I'm still going this way because that's what the rules allow me to do. That's a totally different thing than what we're seeing on the Republican side. By the way, folks, we got a chat room going here as we're broadcasting live on Spreaker, and we are also live on High Plains Talk Radio Network. Glad to be on there with y'all. I hope I said that right. I'm a boy from the People's Republic of New York City. Got a little bit of that Brooklyn accent going on, but we appreciate all our listeners in the High Plains areas in Texas and in the South and Southwest and wherever you may be listening tonight. But we got a chat room going here live and scanning some of the comments. By the way, if you want to go into the chat room while you're listening to us live, click on www.behindenemylinesradio.us, the Listen Live button right there at the top, and you'll go into the chat room. You get to hang out, and the conversation right now is saying that the DNC motto is vote early and often, even if you're dead. I like that comment from Dano. He's got a couple of good ones tonight. And you know what? He's absolutely right. Hillary is basically getting cover from her own party because even they don't want Bernie Sanders as the leader of the free world. And Andre Walker will get into that. I don't want to steal his joke. He has a great monologue coming up at the bottom half of the hour, folks. Stick around for it. It is phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Andre Walker. I'm glad that he's back this week with one of his weekly monologues. But back on topic. The folks at MSDNC are actually livid about this because it's undeniable that this is the very definition of voter disenfranchising. Listen, we just got through with a state on the GOP side of Wisconsin that has some of the strictest voter ID laws, and yet there was a record turnout for the GOP primary. Again, voter ID laws did not stop a record turnout coming out to vote in the GOP primary in Wisconsin. Democrats are the ones that say we don't even need to check ID when you go vote, because that's how important voting is. That we need to make sure that everybody has a chance to vote, not just those who have the ID. And yet, when you come out to vote, your vote means diddly squat to them in their elections because it's already rigged. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going back to Morning Joe because, believe it or not, Joe Scarborough agrees with me.
Okay, but I'm talking about the Democrats for now.
Fair.
Let's talk about the Democrats for now.
We didn't say that.
Here is a party
Feels bad.
who sends their activists out and have people chattering on TV and chattering on talk radio about voter disenfranchisement if you make somebody show a picture of themselves. This same party tells voters to go straight to hell when they select somebody by 12 percentage points and end up letting the other candidate who lost by 12 percentage points win the most delegates. That, by definition, is voter disenfranchisement. So it is a rigged system on the Democratic side, even worse than the Republican side. And I don't know why Democratic voters put up with it.
If you say those are the rules, I'm going to lunge at
I
your
agree
neck.
with everything you said, except I wouldn't say it's rigged. It's not rigged. It's disenfranchisement. It's not one person, one vote.
What do
But
you
it's not
call
rigged.
it when voters going to the voting booth doesn't matter
At
as
all.
much as insiders?
A messed
Millions.
up system.
That is a rigged.
It's not
It is a
rigged.
system
It doesn't-
rigged against voters. It's a system rigged against people that go to voting booths. It's a system rigged against people that go out to caucuses. It is a system that is rigged in favor of the rich and the powerful and the politically connected. Bernie Sanders wins by 12 percentage points. So he wins 56 to 44. Now let's look at the delegate count.
He didn't get any super
Put him
delegates.
up. Okay. And
One,
after
right?
winning by 12 percentage points,
He's losing.
he loses Wyoming,
He's losing the
where
election.
it counts by
primary.
4 delegates, 11-7. Now, John Heilman, if that is a system that is not rigged against voters and rigged in favor of the rich and powerful, please tell me one that is.
It definitely is, Joe Scarborough. And I'm not going to let Mark Heilman from Bloomberg answer that because, the clip goes on to talk about, the rules, the scheme. The clip's on the YouTubes. You can go check it out yourself. It's fun to watch it all burn down, folks, isn't it? It's fun to watch MSDNC basically implode on air. And everyone's in agreement. That's the scary thing. Even Mark Halperin is saying, yes, it's voter disenfranchising to be able to go out and vote and then have it be meaningless and canceled out by superdelegates. That's a glaring admission. And again, compare now to what's going on with the Republican side. The Republicans are complaining about a state committee at a state convention, pursuant to state party rules, doing what they've done in past presidential cycles. And that's vote. Those votes mean something. One could absolutely argue that not having citizens voting is disenfranchising. I say to those people, petition your state committee, petition your party. You're the ones who elect the state committee. You're the ones who elect the party reps. Get them out of there if that's what you want. But understand that whether you're talking about Democrats or Republicans, the House always wins. It's just a matter to what degree we're talking about here. The House winning on the Republican side is having state insiders vote. The House winning on the Democratic side are having you vote and making you think you matter, and then it not mattering at all. Pick your poison, America, because that's what you're dealing with right now. But let's say Hillary gets the nomination. That's going to be the likely scenario, right? What exactly are we in for as far as policy? And I don't want to bore you guys with the wonk. You know how we like to get wonky here behind enemy lines sometimes. But I just want to talk to you about, real quickly, Hillary Clinton's $1 trillion tax hike plan, as released earlier this week at Americans for Tax Reform. That's Grover Norquist's group, for those of you who don't know. Check out www.atr.org. It breaks it down for you, but I'm going to do it really quickly here for you. Parts of the Clinton tax plan include a $350 billion income tax for a, quote, new college compact. So you're going to raise income taxes to feed an already broken education system at the higher level. Let me give you a little secret about higher education, folks. The reason why college, especially private institutions, are so expensive these days is because government has bloated the system to the point where the free market is no longer in control. Because there is so much federal money, the Pell Grants, the Stafford loans. I'm probably dating myself with some of these, because these are some of the things that I got when I was in college, once upon a time, way back in the golden olden days. But now you have these prices higher, so what's the government solution? Raise more money and bilk you, the taxpayer, out of more money to sustain an unsustainable system. If government wasn't involved in higher education, prices would be down because there wouldn't be as much, quote-unquote, free money out there. You would see the prices of education going down. You would see educational systems becoming more efficient. And, dare I say it, you may even see some less than liberal professors teaching. Heavens forbid. But I digress. So this tax hike is for also caps itemized deductions. Think about that. So now, the point of, having a sound tax policy is to balance rewards and penalties, to balance the need for money versus the need to have a healthy economy. So let's just put another $350 billion in income tax on you, the taxpayer, after 8 years where your money has decreased, your earnings have decreased, your property values have decreased, your percentage of ownership has decreased in property, your wealth has decreased, but your tax burdens keep going up. But let's continue. $275 billion business tax increase. Now that got you going both ways. that will fund quote-unquote infrastructure. Gee, I wonder what that means. More government, bigger government? Your guess is as good as mine. Undefined business tax reform. That's what they're calling it. It's not an increase, it's a reform. I don't know what that means, folks, but that means that not only are you getting it on your income, the businesses are getting it on the other end. So now there are also additional tax increases which make up this difference. Of course, we're talking about taxing the 1%, capital gains tax increase to counter, quote-unquote, the tyranny of today's earning reports. This is Wall Street Hillary talking about earning reports. You know, the one who gets Goldman Sachs money for showing up to talk to a few people. We gotta tax the rich. You know, that's part of the narrative, folks, but make no mistake, you're also getting taxed too, because there's gonna be a tax on stock trading, an unquantified tax on stock trading is part of our plan, that further burdens markets by discouraging trading and investment. So that's gonna hit your 401k, folks. Millions of American families that have IRAs, savings accounts, 401ks, CDs. Congratulations, you make a trade, you're getting taxed on it. So, you know, tax the 1%, tax everybody. Clinton doesn't care. Then there's proposed, and this has got to be the best one of all. This has got to be the end-all and be-all about taxing from the Clinton tax hike plan. Being called an exit tax, a series of measures aimed at corporate inversions. You know what those are, right? The companies that close up shop here, sell off to a foreign company that has a more favorable tax climate, and invert, no matter what size they are, into that tax plan so that they save money, American money going overseas, all because companies are smarter than you think, folks. They want to alleviate their tax burden and tax avoidance. Remember what I said last week about President Obama saying that tax avoidance is bad? No, it's not. Tax avoidance is an American value. Tax avoidance is what we do every year, this time of year, when we go to our accountant and say, save me as much as you can. Use the laws that are available to save me what you can. Give me the marital deduction. Give me the earned income tax credit for children. Give me all this stuff. Just so I don't have to pay as much as I should be paying if those rules weren't there. Tax avoidance is as American as apple pie, folks. Don't kid yourself about that. So this exit tax will be aimed at those corporations who would go overseas and earn overseas. And, of course, you know, this program would completely fail to address inversions. Inversions will still happen. But you know what? It's a feel-good thing. They're claiming $80 billion will be plowed into tax relief. But they're saying it's going to raise $80 billion in tax revenue from these inversions. No, it won't, because you can't legislate behavior. Government tries to build a better mousetrap, and it never happens, folks. What'll end up happening is they'll find another corporate loophole, and they'll get creative, as smart people do, and they'll find a new way. Here's a perfect example of not being able to legislate behavior. Here in the People's Republic of New York City, we have Metro cards that we use to scan to get onto public transportation. They put a $1 fee on every Metro card that you would get here in the People's Republic of New York. The MTA in New York State did that, thinking they'd raise so much money from people who dispose of their Metro card just picking up a new one. Well, guess what happened? People stopped throwing away their Metro card, and they didn't get as much money as they thought. You can't legislate behavior. There's always going to be a better and bigger way to make the mousetrap. This is what you're in for, thanks to a rigged system. See how I'm bringing it all together now, folks? This is what you get for having a rigged system in your political process. You're going to end up with a tax plan like that from Hillary Clinton. Forget about the fight for 15 and all this other stuff. I mean, you know, we get comments in the chat room saying how robots work for pennies and don't complain and still make money for corporations. Another example of building the bigger, better mousetrap, right? You gotta get all these arguments 2 and 4 regarding, you know, the tax plans and all this stuff. But it's all coming out of a rigged system, folks. That's what you have to remember from the Democrat side. It was rigged from day one when Hillary Clinton made her announcement. Even before that she was going to be the nominee. We're at halftime here, folks. I want to thank everybody for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. Check us out at www.behindenemylines.radio.us. Check us out on Facebook and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you missed any part of this live broadcast here on Spreaker or High Plains Talk Radio Network, you could check us on our rebroadcast outlets, including WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance station. Shout out to everybody in the Philadelphia area, even though you beat my Mets this week. We'll get you back on the rebound. You can also check us out at the Internet Conservative Radio Network, ICRN, at Red State Talk Radio, at Sackheads Media on replay, and as I said, on High Plains Talk Radio Network live here, and K98 Talk. But even if you miss us at any of those outlets, you can always check us out on podcast at iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM, Google Play Music, Blueberry, and other fine outlets where podcasts are played, stored for your listening pleasure. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have our interview with Senator Pat Toomey, the executive director of the Stop Hillary PAC, and we'll have some shenanigans with Andre Walker, and maybe even a little Al Sharpton rebuttal as well. Gene Baradelli, Behind Enemy Lines, will be back right after these brief words.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito, and we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show, and check out our blog posts and articles at VitoandVito.com.
Vito and Vito Show, every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save
your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene Baradelli back behind enemy lines, and on the line with me right now, it is a pleasure to be speaking with the chairman of the Stop Hillary PAC, former legislator himself. You know what? Senator Harvey, I don't even know if you're former. Ted Harvey, how are you doing, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
So your background is that you started out as like a legislative assistant in the Colorado House of Representatives, who then won election to both the House and the Senate in Colorado, right?
Correct. We have term limits in Colorado, so I was term limited in 2014.
Oh,
I served 13 years in the state legislature. Oh no, I would have left anyway, even if I wasn't.
Well, listen, in this political climate, I can understand why you want to leave. But the reason why we're talking to you, of course, your glowing, history and your background of being a staunch conservative in Colorado has now, I guess, prepared you for the national stage at one of the most pivotal times in our political history. And of course, I'm talking about the soon-to-be coronation of Hillary Clinton as the Democratic nominee. And you are part of Stop Hillary PAC, a group that our listeners are very familiar with from past interviews. Tell everybody about what your role is with Stop Hillary PAC.
Well, I was one of the founding members. We started the PAC probably 24 months ago, and I'm the chairman of the PAC. And we have been working feverishly for 24 months to try to build up an army and mobilize an army around the country that our sole objective is to make sure that Hillary Clinton doesn't become the next president of the United States. And over the course of those 2 years, we probably got about 1 million people that have joined the PAC and given us their email, and we communicate with them on a daily, weekly basis. And whenever we send out petitions asking them to sign a subpoena, asking the Benghazi committee to subpoena Hillary Clinton, we now have, an overwhelming response. When we did that a year ago, right before the Benghazi hearings, we had over 500,000 subpoenas signed, and we hand-delivered them to the Benghazi hearing. And I think that we have put a lot of pressure on the committee to really be aggressive in investigating what went on. And I think it was because of the pressure that we put on them that it has brought about the revelations of the email server scandal, but even worse than that, the collaboration that was going on between the State Department and the Clinton Foundation. So the Democrats have been on different debates on television saying it wouldn't have been, if it wasn't for the Stop Hillary PAC, none of this would be going on. And that was probably the greatest endorsement that we could have to say that we were responsible for bringing this all to light. And if it means Hillary Clinton is does not become president of the United States because of our efforts, then it's been a great team effort from Americans all across the country.
Absolutely. And your PAC is one of the PACs out there that has been getting results. And proof of that is, published stories that I see, your Benghazi-themed attack ads actually are hurting Hillary, especially with younger voters. And
isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting. And those younger, progressive voters have been flocking to support Bernie Sanders. Do you guys also take credit for the rise of Bernie Sanders? I mean, 6 out of the last 7 primaries, he's been clobbering her, even though he has no shot of winning and he can't win enough delegates and all this other stuff. But do you take credit for part of that rise of young people for Bernie?
I will never take credit for Bernie Sanders. Having said that, though, we are running commercials during every Democrat presidential debate, and we are reminding Americans about who Hillary Clinton is. The mainstream media is doing everything they can to rewrite history and try to define Hillary as somebody much different than the corrupt individual that she is. And the Stop Hillary PAC, that's our sole goal, is to make sure that history is not rewritten and that we are reminding the American public of her trail of corruption from the time she was the First Lady of Arkansas with Whitewater. With Whitewater all the way up to when she was the First Lady of the United States, and how she tried to discredit Americans that came out against her and her husband. And then when she was Secretary of State, and she did nothing to help our American heroes that were being attacked by radical Islamic terrorists in Benghazi, and she just sat there on her hands and did nothing, and certainly didn't encourage the president to do anything, and resulted in 4 American heroes being killed. And then coming out the next day and she didn't say anything. She sent the ambassador to the UN to go out and say that it was simply because of a video that was made in California that brought up an uprising in Benghazi. And she's been lying to the American public and lying to the American public and lying to the American public, and hopefully it's starting to catch up to her because of the aggressive nature of the Stop Hillary PAC. We're not going to allow the media to rewrite history.
It's been almost a generation of scandal after scandal after scandal for Hillary Clinton. And, it's hard, even now, as we sit here today, we're talking about the email server and the DOJ investigation there. We're talking about dark money with the Clinton Foundation and whether that influenced policy when she was Secretary of State. Talking about Benghazi, of course, you outlined it perfectly. How do you decide what to kind of serve back over the net to her? Because it's like you got a tennis ball machine shooting tennis balls rapid fire at you with every single scandal going on.
And I think that they kind of use that to their advantage because the American people get scandal overload and they just throw up their hands and don't want to listen to it, don't want to hear it anymore. But I think that the situation with the server and the emails and the collusion with the Clinton Foundation, I believe it's going to bring her down. The American public may be too tired of hearing it, but I think the FBI is taking it very, very seriously. When you see that they are actually doing interviews with the former Secretary of State and her staff, and you have the head of the FBI taking a personal role in the investigation, that tells you that this is a serious investigation. And I don't believe it's going to be that she sent out classified emails from her personal server or that she allowed her staff to look at classified emails. I don't think that's going to bring her down. I do believe it's going to be the corruption and collusion between her efforts as Secretary of State and funneling money and feathering her own bed by funneling money to the Clinton Foundation and having people hire her husband in order to get preferential treatment through the Secretary of State's office. I think that corruption rises to a level that the FBI cannot turn their head.
And that's a scandal that kind of broke right around this time last year, when we started talking about Clinton Foundation and dark money and all that, as people were starting to ramp up and looking towards a Clinton candidacy. But there really hasn't been a lot more information on that. Does Stop Hillary PAC plan on running more ads with that theme?
Well, we currently are. That's all between the Benghazi situation and the email server. That is really where we are focusing all of our attention. There are so many scandals, like you said, over the last 4 decades of the Clinton legacy, that it's a target-rich environment. But the part that is really going to catch the fire of the American people are those two items, the Benghazi situation and the server. And the fact that one of the greatest movies that has come out in the last 6 months is 13 Hours. The American people understand how serious that was when we left 4 American heroes, defenseless. And we had the ability to protect them, and Hillary Clinton dropped the ball.
It was an absolutely powerful movie. I totally agree with you. I just wonder if because she has no competition on her end. Bernie Sanders, whatever, not really competition. And because Donald Trump has been dominating the news cycle on the Republican end, are you concerned that a Trump nomination will hurt the efforts of stopping Hillary?
That's my role as the chairman of Stop Hillary PAC is to stop Hillary, not to make comments about the Republican presidential nomination. But I think the fact that Trump lost Wisconsin as big as he did last night is a good indication that this Republican primary is not over by a long shot. I think it will go all the way to the convention. I think that it will be a contested convention, and who knows what's going to happen at that point. But I still believe
there's so many different permutations there.
Without a doubt. But I still believe this is going to be a wave election for the Republican Party, because I don't see how Hillary Clinton is able to get through this FBI investigation without being indicted. That doesn't mean that she won't continue to be the candidate, that she won't win the nomination. You see the Democrat Party and the American people, the Democrat Party is 100% sold out to making sure that Hillary Clinton is their nominee. So even if she is indicted, I think she will be their nominee. But I think the American people will rise up and choose the Republican Party over Hillary Clinton. And like you were just saying earlier about the millennials that are watching the commercials that we are airing and hearing about all the information that is absolutely, criminal about Hillary Clinton, they are not going to support Hillary. And the millennial vote is what got Obama over the edge to win the presidency the first time. And Hillary Clinton's not going to have that base because they're not going to be there for her. I think they'll stay home.
I tend to agree with you, and I think that you see it's a lot like on the Republican side, like the Ron Paul effect. Ron Paul had great energy, and then it went away when he went away. Bernie Sanders, I don't think that they're going to cross over to Hillary. I think you're doing your job pretty well, and I think that Hillary is just so untrustworthy, and you've painted such a great picture of her being untrustworthy and downright dangerous to the point where people are dying. So with that, you guys are doing a great job. Are you going to be running ads during this latest debate here in the People's Republic of New York City?
I believe we are. It's a pretty expensive market. The Stop Hillary PAC has done an incredible job of raising money over the last 24 months, but the New York market is one of the most expensive market, if not the most expensive market in the country. So I'm not sure if we're going to invest there. But I'd be interested to know what do you think is going to happen in New York between Bernie and Hillary?
All right, listen, I asked the questions around here. All right, now I'm kidding. What do I think is going to happen with Hillary and Bernie? Oh, I think Hillary
in New York. In New York.
Oh, well, in New York, in the People's Republic of New York, Hillary Clinton will win because just about every single district leader is in the bag, every state committee member is in the bag, every politician's in the bag for her, with the exception of some of the further left leanings like Bill de Blasio and the Working Families Party, which is trying to pull out for Bernie. It's going to be closer than people think because there are a lot of dissatisfied, more progressive Democrats, oh my goodness, than you think. But in the end, like with every election, Hillary starts out with a many thousand vote advantage statewide because all the poll workers that are showing up for the Democratic primary are going to be pulling the level for Hillary. Otherwise, they're not going to be working next election cycle. So it starts from there, and then it trickles down to just typical voter behavior. People are used to pulling the lever for Hillary. Younger people will go for Sanders, but young people won't be turning out as much as the senior citizen market here, especially the graveyard people who may be pulling for Hillary. No joke, Senator. In ballot watching one year, I saw an absentee ballot with someone whose date of birth was 1873. And guess what party they were part of?
No.
Well, that's a story for another time. Absolutely.
No
I've seen it
way.
firsthand.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen it firsthand.
We may not be able to have that much of an impact in the New York primary, but we are definitely having an impact around the rest of the country. And it's been fun.
New York's a lost cause.
When we started this in 24 months ago, that was well before Hillary Clinton was ever announced her candidacy. And to see the American people rise up and join forces with us has been one of the great pleasures of my life, is to see Americans stand up and say, no, enough is enough. We're not going to have Hillary Clinton as president. And so we're fighting the good fight. It's fun to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Fighting the good fight, Senator Ted Harvey and Stop Hillary PAC. Money and people is where it's at, right? So let's start getting some people and some money to you. Tell people how they can donate to Stop Hillary, where they can find you online, on social media, and all that fun stuff.
The best place to go is stophillary.org, stophillarpac.org. Stophillarpac.org. Go to our website. You can learn everything about what we're doing, the commercials that we're running, and certainly you can contribute to the effort to make sure that we can continue to put ads up on the air and do all the social media work that we do. And there is no doubt that our organization is the most effective organization in the country when it comes to fighting Hillary Clinton and the Democrat Party, for that matter.
Absolutely. Everybody go to www.stophillarypac.org right now. Click on the big donate button. You know you want to. It's for a good cause. Senator Harvey, thanks for coming on the show. We look forward to talking to you down the road in 2016.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. God bless you.
The show will be right back. But first, a word from Al Sharpton.
But resist we much. We must. They're all jitty about a shutdown. The tortoise in the race, then co-author of Hubris. U2 lead singer Bono, Fran Drescher, Sigourney Weaver, suspect Jahar Tsarnaev, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh. The show Rush Lombard hosts Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Is Mike Muckery yesterday, Antonin Scalia, Kim Kardashian, and the Republican candidates, both Cairo and Benghazi. We rank behind Lavita. First stop, Kazakhstan to college students in Beijing. He's getting lunch at Chipotle in Iowa. Bain is appropriate. The GOP's tax day giveaway to millionaires. Why was traffic problems email sent? The Environmental Projection Agency and what sequestration has done.
But wait, there's more.
We all know I've had my share of prompter issues. And here's the president meeting with a cola cue. Republicans, Grinches, launching fistful of coal. Copies of the new issue of Charlie Hebdo. He also goes by the name Michael Zahabiba. 26-year-old Nina. Phone. Ray Romano. Honor David Letterman. He died of accidental asphyxia. Al-Qaeda in Yemen. The start of school has been postponed several times. Massive manhood is underway. Who spoke at a white supremacist convention. You look at the hand you dealt with, there are not 60 Republicans after a historic when you hear of ISIS now waterboating all over the map on immigration. Did the New England Patriots cheat to get into the big game? NFL analyst and Hall of Fame player Troy Aikens, the writer slamming President Obama for talking with YouTube celebrities. What's the latest tonight in Iowa?
Well, in Ottawa.
And they gave this guy a TV show? Let's get back to our show.
Hello and welcome. My name's Andre Walker, and your weekly monologue starts right now. This was the week that Donald Trump lost 2 votes in the New York primary when his own children forgot to register. Oh my goodness. Some people got upset with the Junior Trumps. By the way, I just love the phrase Junior Trumps. But some people got upset with them, and I'm not sure they really should have, because the mistakes of the children should not reflect on Trump Sr. After all, idiot children are not the end of the world, and it's not their parents' fault. Remember the 1988 trash movie, Twins? Well, what did it teach us? You can breed an Olympic athlete with a beautiful model, and you might get an intelligent, gleaming muscle warrior, Republican, governor like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or equally, you might get a fat, bald, boring Democrat with no future like Danny DeVito. We've got a saying, in Britain, you know, left-wingers are usually mingers. But for those of you unfamiliar with the term minger, think about Chelsea Clinton without the Botox or the facelift or an underwired bra. Yuck. Yuck. Why is Chelsea, by the way, still hanging around when the Chinese have got the Yulin Dog Meat Festival just weeks away? They eat more dogs than the Democrat Women's Committee. And yes, by the way, I absolutely do mean what you're thinking of. But back to Mr. Trump. Those of you that hate him need to open your eyes. let me deal with all the criticisms of Trump head on. And let's face it, head on is where the problems really lie. Well, you wanted beauty last time, and that's what you got in one Barack Obama, the Emerophobe. Yes, that's right. I have just made up a new phobia. Well, okay, we've got a lot of phobias already, like LGBTQXYZKYJELLY. And given there is such a whole lot of them already, why not add an a-hole to the list? And as far as I'm concerned, there is no bigger a-hole than Mr. Obama himself. He may not be an L, he may not be a G, he may not be a B, or a Q, or whatever else is on the list, but he is an anti-gun, anti-God, anti-taxpayer charlatan who's humiliated the American nation and lined up the Clintons to infest the White House one more time. And worse still, Obama is so bad that your own allies around half the world are just begging for the day that anyone takes over, even Hillary. Yes, that's right. You've annoyed NATO so much they think a Clinton would be an improvement. Look, guys, Trump's hair is real. No one would buy a wig that ugly. But shame on you, America. Wake up. Don't you realise that the world has no interest in listening to the only superpower bleat about hairdos or about how they want the same healthcare system as Uganda? We want a leader, and only the GOP is going to give us one. Just remember which party gave us Reagan, which party gave us George Bush, Senior and Junior, and which party gave us Eisenhower. I don't care which GOPer gets the nomination, but I do insist that you beat these nasty, useless, evil, anti-American Democrats. Leader of the free world, Bernie Sanders, give me a break. Colonel Sanders has done more for developing countries than Bernie ever will. Colonel Sanders, by the way, is finger-licking good, whereas Bernie's fingers are far too green to lick, and licking the fingers of a Clinton is just crazy unless you want genital warts, botulism and scabies. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the monologue. Until next week, goodbye.
Check out Andre's column at townhall.com. Check him out on Twitter at AndreJPWalker. And read Andre's work here, Behind Enemy Lines. Now back to the show.
Gene Baradelli back behind enemy lines. That'll just about do it for us. Final thought time. Check us out next week when we discuss the People's Republic of New York primary. Both sides of the action we're going to be covering myself. Hopefully Russell will be back as well. Russ Gallo, the co-host here at the show. We miss you, pal. We need you back real quick. I can't do this on my own anymore. It gets to be a little too much. I want to thank Senator Harvey from Stop Hillary PAC for coming on the show and talking to us. And you know what, folks? It's that time again. Time to shut this sucker down. I want to thank everybody for listening. Check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Andre Walker again for his wonderful monologues that he provides for us every week. And until next week, folks, we are out of here.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. A rock radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days. Out.